Trump signed the Lake and Riley Act into law today, and here's what it means if you're an undocumented immigrant. If you're undocumented and you've simply been accused of a certain crime, ICE can indefinitely detain you throughout your immigration proceedings. You can't request bond, and this applies even if you haven't been convicted of anything. If your charges has been dropped, ICE can hold you. Even if you just admit to something without formal charges, this law allows you to be detained. Now, the Lake and Riley Act was marketed as a way to go after quote-unquote dangerous criminals, but in reality, it could lead to mass detention of many immigrants, the majority of whom have never been convicted of anything. Now, this law applies to undocumented immigrants who entered the United States without a visa and who've been accused of certain crimes. This is regardless of how long they've lived in the United States. And it's regardless as to whether they've actually been found guilty or convicted of the offense. This law does not apply to green card holders or to people who entered on visas, even if they overstayed their visa. It also doesn't apply to refugees who were granted status outside of the United States before they came into the country. Now, as far as the crimes that can trigger mandatory detention, some of the offenses that ICE can rely upon to detain you indefinitely include shoplifting, burglary, theft or larceny, assaulting a law enforcement officer, which could include resisting arrest or even defending yourself in a confrontation with law enforcement, as well as any crime causing serious injury or death. Now, the reason why this is such a huge problem is because some of these offenses are non-violent offenses that are relatively minor. A minor theft charge that you were merely charged with or accused of without having been convicted could result in you being detained indefinitely for several months to a year, if not even longer than that. Even if your case is dismissed, ICE can still detain you. Again, you don't need to be found guilty, just an arrest is enough. Also, there's a strong concern about false accusations. If someone falsely accuses you of a crime, ICE can still detain you even if you're completely innocent. So if you are detained as a result of the Lake and Riley Act, you cannot request bond. You stay locked up for your entire immigration case, which again could take several months, a year, or longer. Even if you have a family, job, or otherwise a clean record, it won't change the fact that you can be detained indefinitely. It's really important to know how to protect yourself if you are arrested or detained as a result of this. First and foremost, stay silent. If you're approached by law enforcement or ICE officers, it's very important that you say, "I will not speak to you without the presence of my lawyer." You should also avoid any self-incrimination. Do not admit to any wrongdoing, even if you think it will help your situation. And also, definitely inform your legal counsel. If you have a criminal defense attorney that's representing you in a criminal matter, make sure they know your immigration status. This will help them navigate the charges correctly and ensure that you get proper immigration advice as it relates to your criminal charge. The Lake and Riley Act represents significant change with respect to immigration enforcement, so it's really critical to understand your rights and understand the potential implications of this law on you. Also, if you are at risk for some reason of arrest and detention, make a safety plan with your family. Have emergency contacts in place and any legal documents in place in order to ensure that someone has access to them in the event you are detained. Also, if you have a pending case with immigration, it's definitely important to have proof of that pending case with you at all times. This law has absolutely changed the way immigration enforcement is going to go forward, so it's important to understand your rights and understand the potential implications that it can have on you. Feel free to share this with whomever you think could benefit from it, and if you're worried that this law will apply to you, talk to an immigration lawyer. Follow us for more immigration news and information.